Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Introduction to Data Privacy workshop.
Just so you know, you can scan the QR code on the screen or click the link that I'm about to put in the chat to access a text-based version of this presentation. It's more screen reader accessible, and you can also save a copy of it for yourself in order to keep the links for future reference.
So who are we? I'm Inbar Michael. I'm the Research and Instruction Librarian for the Humanities and Arts, and you can contact me at inbar.michael@etamu.edu.
And I'm Zephyr Rankin, and I'm the Research and Instruction Librarian for the College of Science and Engineering and the College of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources. You can email me at zephyr.rankin@etamu.edu, and you can also contact all of our Research and Instruction librarians using our Ask a Librarian form. The URL for that is etamu.edu/askwaters. So in this presentation, we're going to cover why you should care about data privacy, some basic tips for data hygiene, the difference between data privacy and information security, some general data privacy tips like password management, email domains, web browsers, and search engines, cookies, ads, and ad blockers, and some settings to look into for your smartphone. And then at the end of the workshop, we're going to do a short activity that we're calling Make One Change. It'll take just a couple minutes and is a good way to get started on thinking about data privacy in your own digital life. So, to start with, why should you care about data privacy? The most pressing reason to care about your data is to protect yourself. If your data isn't private or secure, then you're more likely to be at risk of identity theft or financial fraud. Your health and financial information could be vulnerable to bad actors. This is especially important for financial information like credit card and debit card numbers and online banking information, which could lead to someone stealing from you. Having a lot of information about yourself publicly available also makes it easier for scammers to target you in phishing attacks or for someone to guess your passwords or answers to your security questions. And in addition to protecting yourself, it's important to know that your data is being commodified. Information has value, and the companies mining and selling your data are doing so to make a profit and improve advertising, not to make your life better. So now let's start to talk about what you can do, starting with some basic data hygiene. So data hygiene means cleaning up your data. What is stored where, how much information is available, and what security practices you're using. Start by regularly updating your devices. Most updates have important security patches that fix known vulnerabilities in the operating system. Keeping your system up to date means that your data is more secure. Similarly, try to keep software up to date as well. Reboot your devices as well. This helps with data privacy and also ensures that the lifespan of the device is longer by keeping the hardware healthier. Create backups of your information in a secure environment, such as an encrypted hard drive or in trustworthy cloud storage. Delete any applications, software, or accounts that you're no longer using so that if they are the target of a cyber attack, your data isn't at risk. Avoid using public Wi-Fi networks when you can, and be careful when you do need to use them. They're not secure and could put any information transferred over them at risk. And when you're communicating virtually, use end-to-end encryption when you can. End-to-end encryption puts your message in a code that needs a decryption key to decode. The decryption key resides on your device, so even if the message is intercepted or stored on another server, the content is unreadable by anyone but you.
All right, and now we'll talk about privacy versus security. So what is privacy? As succinctly written by Alan F. Weston, privacy is the claim of individuals, groups, or institutions to determine for themselves when, how, and to what extent information about them is communicated to others. In other words, privacy is the ability and right to self-determine how much information you want shared about yourself with others. Then, what is security? Security and privacy go hand in hand. Security, according to the Encyclopedia of Computer Science and Technology, involves not just cybersecurity, which is the securing of systems from intrusion or compromise, but the integrity of the information itself and the procedures by which people interact with it. In other words, security is both the protection of online systems from compromise and ensuring that the information itself and the processes of accessing it are not corrupted. In practice, what this might look like would be where privacy is an individual choosing whether they want an application tracking their location, and security would be the multi-factor authentication on that application to ensure the application is more secure and less prone to being hacked. It's important to make sure that your passwords for all your online accounts are both created to be unique and stored securely so that your passwords won't be hacked into. We'll first discuss some of the best practices for ensuring that your passwords are strong and secure. You should make sure that each account you have has a different password. That way, if someone does gain access to one of your account's passwords, they won't be able to use that same password to access other accounts you might have. Each password that you have should be long and complex, using a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. If this is tricky to come up with, you can always use an online password generator to help. If the account has an option for two-factor authentication, enable it. This means that you will not only have to enter your password, but confirm it via text, voice, or an app that you are attempting to log into that account. An example of this, which you are all familiar with, is Duo, which we use to access our university accounts. Where you store your passwords is just as important as the creation of those passwords themselves. You don't want to leave them floating around unsecured. Password managers ensure that those passwords are secure and encrypted, and you only need to remember the password to the password manager to access the rest. Examples of password managers are going to be 1Password, Keeper, and ProtonPass. And these are ones that we recommend.
And now we're just going to talk about some different email domains and how those companies' policies may affect you. So every company that lets you create and host an email on their servers has different policies that you agree to when you make an account. Some focus on privacy, others on security, and some prioritize both, some prioritize neither. The company's policies on privacy and security are important because emails are cloud-based and therefore stored on an external server owned by the company that provides the service. That means that the metadata associated with each email is always accessible to the company, and if the company does not provide end-to-end encryption, the content of the email is accessible as well. The metadata of the email in this case is any information about the email that is not the content itself, including the sender information, including email address and IP address, the time and date the email was sent and received, and the names of any attachments. While many companies have very thorough security practices to protect their users, if the email content is stored in an unencrypted format, it is more vulnerable to cyber attacks than content that is encrypted. If the emails are stored in an encrypted format and the decryption key is only on your device, then someone gaining access to those email servers won't be able to see the content of your emails. One more note, while we'll be covering ads on a later slide, I want to make sure to specify that any email service that is ad supported is putting you at additional risk because many, though not all, ad supported email services are scanning the metadata or sometimes even the content of your emails in order to target ads to you. And no matter how private and secure an email service is, I would suggest never sending any sensitive information such as passwords, bank account information, or social security numbers in an email, because there is always a risk that your emails could be compromised, especially if your device is stolen. As one example, Outlook email domains, like the ones we have for faculty staff emails, tend to have high information security. Outlook, which is owned by Microsoft, provides email domains for a lot of businesses, schools, and other organizations. So they have a vested interest in making sure that their products are secure because those organizations don't want their data to be at risk of cyber attacks. However, those domains aren't always privacy focused. Our faculty staff emails are a good example because as state employees, all of our communications are considered state documents and are therefore subject to the Freedom of Information Act. While our emails are secure from external attacks, none of the content of the emails is considered private. Every email domain is different and will have different policies on privacy and security. When you choose an email server to make an account on, ensure that you know what the company's policies are so you can adequately protect yourself. We're highlighting some of the more widely used email domains: Gmail from Google, Outlook from Microsoft, iCloud from Apple, and ProtonMail from Proton. The links on this slide and in the relevant section of the text-based outline connect to the privacy and security policies of each email server or the privacy policy for the company as a whole if they don't have a policy directly related to the email service. I would also recommend looking for third-party review sites that often mention privacy policies in their reviews. And now let's talk about some web browsers. A lot of what I just said is applicable to the next few sections. So because your browser functions as your connection to the World Wide Web, it is important to be aware of the company's privacy and security practices. Like with the email list, the links on this slide and in the text-based outline connect to the privacy policy for the product or the company that owns it. And again, we're just highlighting a few of the more commonly used web browsers: Firefox from Mozilla, Chrome from Google, Safari from Apple, Edge from Microsoft, DuckDuckGo, and Brave. Because it is the lens through which you view websites, your web browser has access to a lot of information about your browsing habits. In order to protect yourself, you want to choose a browser that has tight security and which protects your privacy. You can also utilize the settings in your browser to improve privacy and security, such as turning off cookies and clearing your history regularly, not saving your passwords to your browser, and turning off targeted advertising. We'll cover cookies and advertising a little later. Additionally, browser plugins can be helpful in a lot of cases, but be cognizant of the information they're requesting access to. And finally, just a quick note on incognito or private browsing. Using the alternative private version of your web browser does protect some of your information from some parties. For example, sites that you visit in an incognito browser aren't saved to your browsing history, but they're not all that different from using the base version of the browser, and they won't hide your activity from your internet provider or from the websites that you're visiting. And now that we've looked at browsers, let's talk a little bit about search engines. Once again, the links on this slide and in this section of the outline will take you to the relevant privacy policy, and we're again just highlighting a few of the more well-known search engines: Google, Bing from Microsoft, DuckDuckGo, and Ecosia. Similar to web browsers, it's important to understand your search engine's policies on advertising and data collection. Some search engines encrypt your searches while others don't collect search data at all. Similarly, some browsers will collect personal data in addition to search history in order to provide targeted search results or advertisements, or both. Many search engines will have settings that you can use to turn data collection on or off. It's also worth noting that some search engines that do collect data are opt-out systems, while others are opt-in. That is to say that some search engines turn on data collection by default, and you have to go into your settings to turn it off, while others only collect your data if you intentionally turn that option on in your settings. Depending on the combination of browser and search engine you're using, and whether you are logged into an account on either while you're searching, your search history may be saved in a variety of places. In many cases, search history can be deleted along with the rest of your browsing data when you clear your browsing history, as long as you include your search engine in the sites you're deleting data for. However, if you have an account, your search history may be stored within the account in addition to your browser's cookies and history. So if you want to clear your search history, you'll need to clear it in both places.
Now that we've discussed data privacy in conjunction with search engines, we will take a closer look at cookies and ad blocking. So, what are cookies? These are essentially small text files that get sent between the web server and the browser to communicate information about the user in order to develop a personalized experience on that platform. This includes targeted marketing and advertising that the user might see when they access a website. Many times when you access a website, there will be a pop-up prompting you to accept cookies, deny them, or customize what you accept. Not accepting cookies or only accepting the necessary ones is one way to protect your data privacy online and will not significantly change the functionality of that website. Additionally, you can block advertisements on websites you're looking at using what is known as an ad blocker. You can download these plugins through the App Store on your respective device. With these installed, they will prevent you from seeing the ad and vice versa, thus blocking the ability for information to be collected about you. Examples of ad blockers that you might want to download are uBlock Origin and Ghostery. You can download and install multiple ad blockers to use at once. Not only is it important that you protect your information while using the internet, you can also set up your phone system to be more secure as well. Here are some ways you can make your phone more secure. Whenever possible, turn off location services, Siri/Google Assistant, Apple Intelligence, Galaxy AI, Gemini, and targeted advertising and app tracking. Now, why should it matter that these are turned off? For location services, when these are turned off, it ensures that the applications are not collecting information on places that you frequent, especially places such as your home, doctor's office, or bank, which is sensitive information. Siri/Google Assistant, these voice assistants are always listening to you to wait for you to turn them on, so turning them off ensures they're not listening in on any private or, again, sensitive conversation. For the AI, not only does it take up a lot of storage on your phone, but because AI is unable to distinguish between reality and fantasy, it might provide you with inaccurate information. Additionally, for the AI to be able to provide summaries of information, it has to be able to read everything on your phone, like texts, emails, etc. So keeping these off ensures that it's not going through all that information and reading it. Finally, for targeted advertising and app tracking, these two go hand in hand basically. When these are turned on, it allows applications to access identifiers that are associated with your device alongside your activity on applications on your phone, which is then shared with advertisers to market more personalized advertisements. So turning this off just makes sure that they're not able to track you across different applications to collect information about you. All in all, when this information is turned on, it's providing your phone company with more information. Don't give them more than what is necessary to collect. Additionally, you'll see there at the bottom, we have a link to an ongoing lawsuit, Lopez versus Apple Incorporated. This is an ongoing lawsuit against Apple Incorporated that's alleging that Siri was listening in on private conversations when it was not turned on. It's better to be safe than sorry when it comes to information to lessen the likelihood of it being collected without your consent or leaked. Now that we have discussed some of the steps that you can take to protect your data, we have an activity to encourage you to start taking steps today to proactively make your information more private. So this is our activity. We're calling it Make One Change. It's easy to get bogged down by privacy fatigue, but making one small change is okay. You don't have to completely redo your digital life in a single day. For this activity, choose one change you have been thinking about making to increase your data privacy and do it right now. Some places you can start if you're looking for some ideas include picking a device you own and turning off geolocation in the settings, download a privacy-oriented browser and transfer your Chrome or Safari data over, and then change your default search engine to DuckDuckGo. These are ideas, you don't have to do them, but we're gonna give y'all a couple of minutes to just go ahead and make that change.
All of the links that we have put in our presentation are also available in the text-based outline, which we linked at the beginning of the presentation. And if you enjoyed this workshop, make sure you join us for part 2, Advanced Tips for Protecting Your Data. We'll be covering some more in-depth information about data privacy, including things like how to read a terms of use document, how to set up a virtual private network or VPN, an analysis of privacy and how it intersects with artificial intelligence, especially generative AI, and an overview of data obfuscation. And thank you for joining us. As a reminder, you can email Inbar or me at inbar.michael@etamu.edu or zephyr.rankin@etamu.edu. And we send questions to all librarians using the Ask a Librarian form at etamu.edu/askwaters.